welcome to The Explainer. We're here to break down complex topics. And today, we're diving into the incredible journey of how we taught machines to understand human language.
So, you ever stop and think about that? How does your phone or Google or even ChatGPT actually get what you're saying? Well, it's a fascinating journey, and it all boils down to one fundamental problem. Computers don't speak our language. They speak in numbers.
So, right off the bat, the very first step in this whole quest was figuring out how to translate our words into a format that machines could actually work with.
Okay, so one of the earliest ideas, which is actually kind of brilliant in its simplicity, was something called bag of words. And it's pretty much what it sounds like. Imagine you take a sentence, toss all the words into a bag, shake it up, you completely ignore grammar, you ignore word order, all you do is count how many times each word shows up. What you end up with is something like this, what we call a feature matrix. See how each row is a different sentence, and each column is a unique word from our vocabulary? The numbers inside are just the counts. And just like that, poof. Language and all its messiness gets turned into this nice, neat grid of numbers that a computer can finally start to crunch.
Okay, so now that we have our numbers, what can we do with them? Well, this is where the first artificial neuron comes into play, the perceptron. Armed with this grid of numbers, the perceptron could start to learn how to make really simple decisions. It would look at all these word counts and try to find a pattern, to draw a single straight line that could, say, separate a positive movie review from a negative one.
But here's the catch, and it's a big one. This simple little neuron had a huge limitation. It could only draw straight lines. And if you think about human language, when is it ever that simple? The lines between positive and negative are almost never straight. You've got sarcasm, nuance. A single straight line just isn't going to cut it.
So, if one neuron isn't enough, what's the logical next step? Well, you connect a whole bunch of them together. You build a network.
And this right here really shows you the massive leap forward. On the left, that's our single perceptron trying its best with that one straight line. But on the right, that's what you get when you stack layers of these neurons into a neural network. Suddenly, it can learn these complex, curvy, nonlinear patterns. It can start to actually trace the real messy shape of language.
Basically, this gave our artificial brain the power to understand much more complex ideas. Each neuron makes a simple little decision, but together they create this sophisticated, collective intelligence.
Okay, progress. But we still had a giant, glaring problem. Remember how we started this whole thing? By throwing all the words into a bag. That means our model had zero understanding of word order. And word order is, well, it's everything, right? The dog bit the man is a totally different story from the man bit the dog.
So that brings us to the next big challenge on our quest. How do you give this artificial brain a memory? How do you teach it to understand sequence?
The answer came in the form of something called recurrent neural networks, or RNNs for short. And the key idea here is a clever little loop. It lets the network process a sentence one word at a time, and, this is the important part, it passes what it learned from the first word onto the second, and from the second to the third, and so on.
So look here, you can see exactly how it works. The network sees the word V, it processes it, and it keeps a little memory of it. Then, when the next word, cat, comes along, it's processed with the memory of having just seen the. And voila! For the very first time, our model could actually understand a sequence. This was huge, a massive leap forward. But you know how it goes. Solving one problem often reveals an even trickier one hiding just beneath the surface.
Just take a look at these two sentences. In one, bank means the side of a river. In the other, it's a place you put money. Same word, totally different meanings. So here's the problem for our RNN. Because it processes words one by one, its memory is pretty short-term. It mostly remembers what came just before. But sometimes, to understand a word, you need to see the whole sentence. This ambiguity, where a word's true meaning depends on the full context, that was the next massive hurdle to overcome.
And the breakthrough, when it came, was a complete game changer. It was an idea for an architecture that didn't just look back one step at a time. Instead, it could look at the entire sentence at once and figure out how important every single word is to every other word.
And that architecture is called the transformer. At its heart is this absolutely revolutionary idea called self-attention. And it's just what it sounds like. It lets every single word in a sentence pay attention to all the other words to figure out what it truly means in that specific context.
So let's go back to our bank problem.
How does a transformer figure this out?
Well, to really get the meaning of the word bank in this sentence,
The model basically asks itself a really smart question. It says, okay, I'm the word bank. Which other words in this sentence are the most important for figuring out who I am? That's the core of self-attention. And what it does is create these connections like you see here, and it weighs how important each one is. So, in this sentence, the word bank forms a super strong connection to the word river. And that's the light bulb moment. It instantly knows, aha, this is a river bank, not a financial bank. It solves that ambiguity by seeing the whole picture at once.
And honestly, that one ability, the power to weigh context and understand how all the words in a sentence relate to each other, that is the engine behind pretty much all of the modern AI you use every single day. I mean, think about that one single idea, self-attention, is what powers everything from real-time translation on your phone to search engines that just get what you're asking, all the way to those incredible chatbots that can write an email, a poem, or even code for you.
And it's a really powerful reminder, isn't it, that this whole incredible quest to teach machines our language is, in the end, really a quest to better understand it ourselves.